I want to start this video with a confession. I've built courses, content strategies, and even YouTube channels that nobody asked for. Not because the ideas were bad or because I didn't work hard, but because I was building from a posture of imitation instead of building based on information. I saw what worked for other content creators and thought, I can do that, so I built it, and nothing happened. I was trying to solve a problem without doing the work, but I learned from my mistakes. And by the end of this video, you're going to learn from my mistakes, and you'll know exactly where to find people who are actually looking for a solution so you can make sure you build exactly what they're asking for and nothing else. This is part 4 of my free course, From Idea to Online Business. There's a dedicated playlist and you can check out the show notes for more information. Now you can have a brilliant idea, a beautiful brand, a funnel that's technically sound, a compelling message, and content that looks professional. And none of it will matter if you've built it for a market that isn't asking for it. That is the most expensive mistake you can make as a business owner. It doesn't matter if you're selling products or services. It's spending months, sometimes even years, building something that solves a problem that only exists in your mind but not in the marketplace. I've heard people say that the reason my offer isn't selling is because I'm not running ads or I need to run more ads. That is false, because advertising something you haven't first validated is only compounding the problem. I know because I've lived it. Here's what this actually will cost you. It's not just the failed launch. It's the months you spent building something you were convinced was right. It's the energy, the late nights, the mental real estate you gave to an idea that no one was waiting to take advantage of. Now, when I went through this, I didn't just lose one attempt. I lost the time I spent thinking I was on the right track. And the hardest part was that nothing I built was bad. It just wasn't needed. If I had more sense, I would have spent more time preparing. Here's the foundational principle before we get tactical. Your job isn't to create demand. Your job is to find it. And that's actually really good news because markets don't keep secrets. Your potential customers are already online, having conversations, already typing in their frustrations into the search bars, the comment sections, the reviews, and you don't have to start from scratch. They're asking questions in Facebook groups. They're leaving 3-star reviews on products or services that almost solve their problem. They're watching YouTube videos and typing into those comments exactly the thing that they wish that video would have addressed. The market is loud, and the problem isn't that it's not talking. The problem is that you've been focused on your own idea so much that you can't even hear it, and that changes today. The first place your market is speaking is in the online spaces where your ideal customer goes to vent, ask questions, and connect. I call this social listening, but it should be treated like intelligence gathering, not just random scrolling. So here's the method. Go to Reddit, Facebook groups, the YouTube comment section, and even LinkedIn. Search for topics related to your idea, not just to see people pitch, but to listen. And you're listening for 3 specific signals. The first signal is the repeating question. When you see the same question showing up in multiple spaces, it isn't a coincidence, it's a gap. This is your market telling you, no one has answered this clearly enough for me yet. A repeating question is a product waiting to be built. Signal number 2 is frustration about existing solutions. This is basically when people say, I tried this course and it didn't work because I bought this program and the problem was, or it would have been nicer if they would have explained or included this or that. These sentences are absolute gold. And you're not gathering them to criticize anyone. You're gathering it to understand where existing solutions fall short, so whatever you build doesn't have the same gap. Signal number 3 is the exact language your customer uses. Now this one is subtle, but it changes everything. When your ideal customer describes their problem, write it down in their words, not in the industry lingo or your cleaned up version. Their version. Their words are what they reach for when they're frustrated and searching for answers. Because when you eventually talk to them about what you've built, using their language builds an instant connection. It makes people feel like, hey, this person gets me. And that's the kind of signal that converts. So here's an action step. Set aside 90 minutes sometime in the next 24 hours. Do not put this off. Go to 3 different online spaces where your ideal customer spends time. And if you're not exactly sure where to go, then think about where you spend the majority of your time online. There's a very high likelihood that since you're really excited about serving this particular client, that you probably already hang out where they hang out. Now don't post, don't pitch, just read, listen, and document. You're just doing your homework here. Write down every repeating question, every voice frustration, every piece of language they use to describe their problem. And when you're done, you'll have more market insight than most online businesses or even brick and mortar businesses ever gather because they usually don't do the work. They skip this step. The second place your market is speaking is in the reviews and content comments. And this is one of the most underused research methods in the online business space. Here's why it works. A review is what someone writes when a product either exceeds or fails to exceed their expectations. This should excite you because if they're leaving a review, then that's all of the proof that you need that they're willing to spend money to solve a problem. You just have to position yourself to be a viable option for that same consumer base. That's it. Now, in both cases, they're telling you exactly what they wanted but didn't quite get. And this isn't just feedback. This This is insight that you must capture. Here's another solid move. Go to Amazon and search for books in your niche. You don't have to buy them, just go to the 3-star reviews. The 1-star reviews are pretty extreme, so I wouldn't worry about those, and the 5-star reviews are from people who are usually completely satisfied. But there's key information in the 3-star reviews because they're from people who wanted to love it but didn't quite get there. And they'll tell you it was helpful, but it didn't cover this or it didn't cover that. It was good, but it left this out. And these are the gaps. That's your product. Do the same thing with courses in your space. Look at the testimonials, and if there's a Q&A section, read every question. Each one represents something that the course didn't quite answer clearly enough. And make up your mind that this won't happen when people work with you. And here's a bonus tip. You can make videos, write blogs, or other forms of content answering these questions with the level of detail that was missing. Just saying. One more thing to pay attention to. Sometime in the comments section of a product or service, when someone leaves a review, the business owner will actually respond. Pay close attention to these responses. I can't tell you how many times I've seen business owners defend their products or services when a customer clearly had a bad experience. Rather than just owning it and looking for ways to make it right, they'll often come away feeling offended because you left anything other than a 5-star review. This is an opportunity to differentiate yourself that you shouldn't miss. And this is a window not just into the product or service that you can provide, but the experience you can give the customer while providing that product or service. We all are consumers, and we know what it's like when people just don't treat us right. Or if they had just taken accountability and made it right, I would have come back. But since you want to give me a bad experience and an attitude, I'm never coming back. You can apply the same logic to YouTube. Every question in the comments section is a potential gap. It doesn't mean that the video was bad, it's just someone feels that they didn't get everything they needed. And I'm not talking about trolls or people who watch 30 seconds of a video, then asked a question that was already answered later in the video. I'm talking about legitimate topic or brand related questions. These are opportunities that you may be able to take advantage of. What are they frustrated by? That's the problem you solve. What are they hoping for? That's the transformation you sell. And be sure to document every unanswered question, or even the answered ones if you feel like you can answer them better. And make sure you capture every voiced frustration. And you can use the market cheat sheet that I created for you, which is linked in the show notes, to help make this a whole lot easier. Your market is giving you what it's already paying for. A method of understanding this in greater detail is called offer hacking. And I want to be clear that this is not about copying anyone. It's about understanding the market validation that already exists. Now here's the logic. If someone is successfully selling something in your space, the market has already voted and the demand has been proven. Now I've shared already, and it's worth repeating, that you don't need to create demand from scratch. You need to understand it, then figure out how you can serve the same market better, more specifically, or from a more principled angle. Find a few people, at least 3 in your space, who are building online businesses who are further along than you. Be sure to study their offers. What are they selling? What are the price points? What transformation do they claim to deliver? What kind of language do they use? And don't even be afraid to buy what they offer to see the value add or the upsells and other things they may be doing behind the curtain. Then ask, what are they not covering? Again, the questions will tell you this. Who are they not speaking to? Is there a specific, narrow sub-audience of a broader market that needs more tailored answers, that needs more support, that needs my perspective? This is your lane. I want you to pay attention to this very important point. If you take time to research a space and no one's selling anything in it, that's not an open opportunity. That's a warning sign. Now, if you've already achieved all of your financial and lifestyle goals and you want to take a chance on a new frontier, that's one thing. But if you're stuck at a job you don't like very much, you have debt you're trying to get rid of, and you're trying to get your time back, this is not the time to be a maverick. Okay, markets where money is already flowing are markets with proven pain. You want to enter a space that already has momentum and position yourself as an alternative, because even in a fairly saturated market, you can stand out by being yourself and by filling in the gaps that others miss. Back to the mistake I made, the course that I built that nobody asked for, I put real work, real time and energy into it. And when it didn't land, I didn't immediately think that I didn't listen to the market. I thought I needed better marketing, better copy, a better launch. I should have had enough sense to consider that, but I didn't. So I tried again and still nothing. And what finally broke me wasn't a new strategy, it was a conversation. Someone reached out and asked me a specific, pointed question about something I'd done and was really good at. And without preparation, I provided a clear, specific answer which immediately became useful to them. And they said, I've been looking for this exact answer everywhere and I couldn't find it. And that was my proverbial light bulb moment. This was the market talking. For the first time as an entrepreneur, I was listening to people's question, which solved everything for me, and I never looked back. Understand that you have valuable experiences, perspectives, and knowledge that somebody is actually searching for right now. Your market isn't waiting for you to figure out who you are. It's waiting for you to listen to what's already being asked. Your gifts, your talents, and your abilities are the answer to someone's prayer. Don't make them hope and pray any longer. longer than necessary. Be the answer. At the start of this video, I made a commitment to you to make sure you knew how to find the people who are already searching so you can begin building exactly what they're asking for, and I'll share the answer once again. You find them by going to the spaces where they already are, by reading the questions they're asking, and by studying the things they're already paying for. You listen before you build, you research before you create, and when the market starts confirming what you're building, and when the same need shows up in the reviews and in the comments, in the groups, in the conversations, and everywhere else, that's when you move, not before. So download the market research cheat sheet linked in the description below. It'll give you a structured way to capture everything we've covered today so it becomes a plan and not just another video you watched and moved on from. In the next video, we take everything you now know about your market and turn it into an offer, because knowing what people need is only step one. Knowing how to package it so they'll actually invest in what you have to offer is what comes next. Subscribe so you don't miss it. I'm Ralph, and thanks for tuning in to lesson 4 of my free Idea to Online Business course. Always remember that faith plus work equals success, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and God bless.